Kai stepped out of his small spacecraft onto the frozen surface of the planet. The wind was sharp and cold, biting through his thick suit. The sky above was a mix of gray clouds and soft blue light from the distant sun. He had traveled far from Earth to study this planet. Reports said it was empty, quiet, and covered in ice. It was the perfect place for an explorer to work alone. He set down his gear carefully, checking the small containers holding food, water, and instruments. The ground was hard and frosty under his boots. He scanned the horizon. The land stretched endlessly, a sea of white ice, broken by jagged rocks that looked like teeth sticking from the ground. He knew he had to find a safe place to camp before night fell. Kai gathered some rocks and dry ice crystals to make a fire pit. Lighting a fire on this planet was not easy, but he had prepared for this. With a small spark from his tool, the fire flickered and grew, casting warm orange light around him. He breathed in slowly, enjoying the heat against the cold wind. The sound of the fire was comforting, a small piece of home in a strange world. As he adjusted his suit and checked the instruments, he noticed something moving in the distance. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light or a drifting snow cloud. But the shape moved with purpose. It came closer, and Kai saw that it was not snow or wind. It was a person. He squinted through the frost. The figure was tall, slim, and dressed in shimmering silver robes. Their movements were graceful but slow, as if tired. Kai's heart beat faster. He had expected many things on this planet, but he had not expected to see a living being, especially not dressed like royalty. Kai stood and waved his hand. The figure paused. Kai raised his voice carefully. "Hello. Are you lost?" The figure tilted their head, as if studying him. Then, in a soft, clear voice, the person spoke. "I am lost. Can you help me?" Kai felt a mix of surprise and curiosity. He had never met an alien before. He gestured toward the fire. "Come closer. You can warm yourself." The figure moved slowly but steadily toward the fire. As they stepped into the light, Kai saw their face clearly. Their skin had a soft, pale glow, and their eyes were bright, reflecting the firelight. There was a gentle beauty in their features, calm and intelligent. "My name is Lyra," the figure said. "I am a princess. My ship, it failed. I could not reach safety." Kai's mind raced. A princess? From another world? He nodded, keeping his voice calm. "I am Kai. I am from Earth. You are safe here. The fire will keep you warm." Lyra moved closer to the fire, holding her hands out to feel the heat. Kai noticed her shivering slightly, the cold of the planet affecting her. He moved some of the rocks closer to create a small wind barrier, protecting the fire from the harsh gusts. "It is dangerous to stay outside too long. You need to rest," Kai said. Lyra nodded. "Thank you. On my planet, I have servants and guards, but here, I am alone. It is strange to feel fear in this way." Kai smiled softly. "You are not alone now. You have a friend." They sat near the fire, watching the flames dance. The wind howled around them, but the small warmth of the fire created a safe space. Kai offered some of his rations. "Eat something. You need strength to survive the night." Lyra hesitated but then took a small piece of food. She ate slowly, as if learning what it meant to feed herself without help. Kai noticed her hands. They were delicate but strong, with fingers that moved with care. He realized she must be used to comfort and protection, not the harsh conditions of a frozen planet. His respect for her grew. She had traveled far and faced danger alone. "Your planet, it is beautiful," Kai said gently. "Tell me about it." Lyra's eyes softened. "It is a world of light and water, with cities that float in the air. We have knowledge and technology beyond most planets. But we also have rules. Many rules." She looked down at the fire. "I never expected to feel lost. Alone." Kai nodded. "Humans can feel the same. But we survive by helping each other. We care for those around us. It is not just strength that keeps us alive. It is kindness." Lyra listened, her eyes wide and thoughtful. "Kindness, that is rare where I come from. I want to understand it." The wind grew stronger, and snow began to fall lightly. Kai checked their surroundings, making sure there were no dangers. The planet was quiet, but quiet could hide threats. "We should make a small shelter for the night," he suggested. Using materials from his supplies and some natural ice formations, Kai built a temporary windbreak. Lyra helped, learning quickly how to work with his tools. She admired his efficiency and patience. Once the shelter was ready, they returned to the fire. The small space felt warmer now. Lyra sat close, but not too close, respecting the boundaries of a new friendship. Kai watched her face, noticing the way she studied the flames as if trying to remember what it felt like to be safe. "You are brave," Kai said quietly. "Few could travel alone and face this cold without fear." Lyra smiled faintly. "Brave, or foolish? Perhaps both. I have learned that survival is not just about skill. It is about who stands with you, even for a moment." Kai nodded, feeling a strange connection. He had not expected to meet someone so different yet so human in spirit. The night grew deeper, and the fire crackled between them. The stars above were bright, far beyond what he could see from Earth. The universe felt larger now, filled with possibilities and unexpected friendships. Hours passed. Lyra grew calmer, her shivering lessened. She leaned back slightly, relaxing near the warmth of the fire. Kai could see the weight of her journey, the fear she had carried, slowly lifting. "I think I will stay here for a little while," she said softly. "The fire is warm. And I feel safe." Kai smiled, a quiet pride in his chest. "You are welcome to stay. As long as you like. We will face this night together." Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting the firelight and the first signs of trust. The wind outside continued to roar, but inside their small circle of warmth, there was peace. Two beings from different worlds shared a moment of connection. In that quiet space, a bond began to form, one that could change both their lives forever. Kai stared at the fire, thinking about the journey ahead. He did not know what the future held, but he knew one thing clearly. In the vast universe, humans had a strength that went beyond technology or weapons. It was the ability to connect, to care, and to face the unknown with courage. Lyra looked at Kai, feeling a spark of hope. She had traveled far, faced danger, and now, by this small fire on a frozen planet, she had found something unexpected. Perhaps humans were not just simple beings. Perhaps they were extraordinary in ways she had never imagined. The fire burned brightly against the cold night. Two strangers, from two different worlds, shared warmth, trust, and the first steps of friendship. And in that moment, the universe seemed just a little smaller, a little kinder, and full of possibilities waiting to be discovered. The next morning, the cold light of the distant sun filtered through the clouds, painting the icy plains in soft shades of blue and white. Kai stirred near the fire, feeling its warmth fade as the air grew colder. He carefully unrolled his supplies and checked the instruments, noting the planet's temperature and atmospheric readings. Everything was normal for this world, but he remained cautious. He glanced toward the small shelter he had made. Lyra stirred inside, stretching her arms and blinking against the pale light. She had slept more soundly than she had in weeks. The warmth of the fire and the safety of Kai's presence had given her rest she did not realize she needed. She looked at him and smiled faintly. "Good morning, Kai," she said softly. Kai returned her smile. "Good morning, Lyra. Sleep well?" She nodded. "Yes. I feel rested. The cold seems less harsh when I am not alone." Kai motioned toward the fire. "Breakfast first, then we can plan the day. The ice is thin in some areas, and I want to make sure we avoid dangerous spots." Lyra rose and joined him near the fire. She observed him as he prepared their food, fascinated by his movements. Humans were simple in appearance, yet there was a quiet efficiency in their actions. He handled tools and materials with ease, a mix of strength and care that spoke of experience and adaptability. "You work with skill," she said. "On my planet, we rely on machines for many tasks. Watching you, I see that humans trust themselves and their hands." Kai chuckled. "We have to. Sometimes, there is no machine that can replace careful thought and quick action. Nature does not wait for anyone." Lyra listened carefully, her mind absorbing every word. She had grown up in a world of precision and order, where rules governed every step. Here, in the middle of ice and wind, she was learning about adaptability and courage in small, human ways. After their simple breakfast, Kai packed some instruments to explore nearby ice formations. "Come with me if you wish," he said. "I can show you how to read the land. You might find it interesting." Lyra hesitated, then nodded. She stepped carefully over the icy surface, feeling the sharp crunch beneath her feet. Every movement required attention. As they walked, Kai pointed to the patterns in the ice and snow. "These marks show wind direction and strength," he explained. "Sometimes, the ice can hide weak spots. You have to look carefully to survive." Lyra examined the ground with interest. She had spent her life studying advanced sciences, but the subtle messages in nature were new to her. "Fascinating," she said. "Your people observe carefully. There is intelligence in small details that machines cannot replicate." They reached a small ice canyon, where walls of frozen crystal rose above them. The light passed through the ice, creating colors and reflections that dazzled the eyes. Lyra moved closer, touching the smooth surface. "It is beautiful," she whispered. "On my planet, we see beauty in structures we build. Here, it is natural and untamed. It is alive." Kai smiled. "The planet has its own way of showing strength. Surviving here requires respect for that strength." He scanned the horizon. "I want to show you something. There are creatures here, small and shy, but they survive against all odds." From behind a ridge, a group of small, furry animals appeared. They had thick coats and moved cautiously over the snow. Lyra watched in fascination as they interacted, showing cooperation and alertness. "Even the smallest beings can endure," she said. "There is much to learn here." Kai nodded. "Humans are similar. Strength is not always in size or power. It is in spirit, in will, and in the ability to act together." Lyra's eyes reflected the fire of understanding. She realized that humans had qualities that could not be measured by technology or knowledge alone. The day passed with more exploration. Kai taught her how to detect signs of hidden ice pits and how to use simple tools to create safe pathways. Lyra practiced carefully, feeling a sense of achievement with each successful step. She began to appreciate the patience and persistence required to survive in a harsh world. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet, they returned to the fire. Lyra was quiet for a moment, thinking about everything she had seen and learned. Kai, your people, they have something unique. It is not strength alone. It is heart, courage, and the will to continue despite fear. Kai looked at her. We do what we must. And we do it together. Lyra smiled faintly. I have traveled among advanced beings, seen wonders, and known rules. But here, I see life in a new way. The bond between two beings, even strangers, can create warmth greater than any machine or palace. Kai stirred the fire, letting the flames dance higher. Friendship, trust, and courage are the most valuable tools we have. They help us survive, they help us grow, and they help us face the unknown. Lyra nodded, feeling the truth in his words. Night fell quickly, colder than the morning. The wind whistled across the ice plains, but the fire crackled warmly, holding back the darkness. Lyra moved closer to Kai, not out of need, but to share the comfort of presence. I did not expect to feel this way, she admitted. I thought I would only feel fear and loneliness. Instead, I feel hope. Kai smiled gently. Hope is important. It gives us strength to keep moving forward. It reminds us that even in the coldest place, there is warmth to be found. They sat in silence, listening to the wind, watching the stars emerge above the frozen world. The silence was not empty. It was filled with understanding, trust, and the quiet joy of connection. For Lyra, it was a revelation. She had seen civilizations with incredible technology, yet she had never experienced this kind of simple, honest strength before. Kai broke the silence. Tomorrow, we will explore the northern ridge. There are formations there that could tell us about the planet's history. It is dangerous, but I will show you the way. Lyra nodded, eager to learn more. I want to see. I want to understand your world and your people. There is wisdom here I never imagined. As the fire burned lower, they prepared for sleep. Lyra looked at Kai with a quiet determination. She had survived alone until now, but she knew that learning from him could give her knowledge and strength beyond what she had imagined. Kai looked at her and felt a sense of pride and responsibility. She was not just a visitor, she was a student of humanity, observing and learning what made humans endure and thrive. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but also new opportunities to teach and inspire. The night was long and cold, but the warmth of the fire and the presence of each other created a small oasis against the harsh world. Two beings from distant worlds had shared a day of learning, trust, and understanding. A bond had begun to form, stronger than frost or wind. As Lyra closed her eyes, she thought about the strange new feelings that had awakened within her. Curiosity, admiration, and respect for humans. The realization that courage and kindness could be as powerful as any technology. She felt a sense of belonging she had never known before. Kai watched the fire for a while longer, thinking about the unusual turn of events. An alien princess had appeared unexpectedly, yet here they were, sharing warmth, learning, and hope. In the vastness of space, this connection was rare and precious. The fire's glow faded slowly, leaving only stars and ice. but the lessons of the day, the trust, and the bond between Kai and Lyra would last much longer. They had begun a journey together that would change their lives and teach them both about the strength found in courage, kindness, and the human spirit. The morning air was sharper than the night before, and the frozen plains glistened under the weak sunlight. Kai woke first, rubbing his hands together to warm them. The fire from last night had died down, leaving only cold embers. He quickly gathered some ice crystals and dry wood from nearby rocks to relight the fire. The cold was biting, and he could see his breath forming clouds in the air. Lyra stirred beside him, still wrapped in her silver robes. She had slept well but shivered slightly at the cold morning. Kai motioned for her to come closer. "The fire will help," he said calmly. Lyra nodded and moved near the warmth, her eyes scanning the icy horizon. "Today we should explore the northern ridge," Kai said. "The formations there are older than anything we have seen. They may tell us about this planet's past." Lyra's eyes brightened. "I want to see. Knowledge is important, but experiencing it, that is different." They packed their supplies carefully. Kai carried the instruments, while Lyra held a small bag with emergency tools and rations. The wind gusted sharply, forcing them to hunch low as they walked. Lyra noticed the way Kai moved, steady and balanced, even on slippery ice. "You are skilled," she said. "Your people must train for this kind of journey." Kai smiled faintly. "We adapt. Sometimes, it is not training but necessity. If you do not respect the land, it can be unforgiving." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Your wisdom is in action as much as in words." They walked for hours, carefully navigating the frozen ridges. The ice glowed faintly under the sunlight, and the ridges cast long shadows across the plains. Small cracks in the ice hinted at hidden dangers below. Kai used a long tool to test the ice ahead, showing Lyra how to do the same. She learned quickly, moving with careful precision. "Your guidance makes me feel safe," she admitted. "Alone, I would not attempt this." Kai nodded. "That is why we work together. Strength comes from cooperation." Lyra glanced at him, realizing that humans had a quiet courage, a willingness to face the unknown and protect those around them. Suddenly, the wind grew stronger, carrying sharp flakes that stung their faces. Kai motioned for Lyra to stay low. "A storm is coming. We must find shelter soon." They hurried toward a small ice cave he had noticed during his initial survey. Its entrance was narrow, hidden among jagged ice formations. Inside, the air was calm, and the temperature slightly warmer. They set their supplies down and Kai built a small fire near the back. Lyra watched, fascinated at how he created warmth in such a cold place. "On my planet, fire is rare," she said softly. "We rely on energy shields and machines. But this, it feels alive." Kai nodded. "Fire is simple, yet it gives life and comfort. It teaches patience and respect. We must feed it and care for it. In many ways, it is like life itself." Lyra considered his words, feeling the weight and truth behind them. Hours passed, and the storm outside intensified. Snow whipped against the cave entrance, and the sound of ice shifting echoed through the walls. Lyra noticed how Kai remained calm, checking the fire, reinforcing the entrance, and monitoring their surroundings. His steady presence gave her confidence she had not known she could feel. "You are brave," she said quietly. "Even in the face of this storm." Kai shook his head. "It is not bravery. It is focus and preparation. Fear is natural, but we do not let it control us." Lyra reflected on her own life, realizing that her world often tried to control her with rules and fear. Here, she was learning freedom through understanding and careful action. During a pause in the storm, Lyra stepped closer to the fire, her hands extended toward the warmth. "I never thought I would feel this safe alone," she admitted. Kai glanced at her, his eyes softening. "You are not alone. Safety comes from connection, trust, and preparation. That is what humans value." They shared a quiet meal, passing small rations between them. Lyra noticed how Kai divided the food carefully, making sure there was enough for both. "Even in survival, you think of others," she observed. Kai shrugged. "That is part of being human. We endure together." Lyra felt a sense of admiration. She had traveled among rulers and advanced beings, but none had shown her this simple, quiet courage. As the storm raged on, Lyra asked, "What drives humans to survive in places like this?" Kai considered the question. "Hope, curiosity, and the will to protect what we care about. Strength is more than physical. It is moral, emotional, and determined by spirit. That is why humans endure." Lyra absorbed the words, feeling a spark of understanding. She realized that her studies of technology and power were incomplete without this knowledge of spirit and courage. Humans had a strength that came from connection, empathy, and determination, not machines or rules. The storm began to ease as evening approached. Snow fell more gently, and the wind lost its sharp edge. Kai and Lyra emerged from the cave, stepping carefully onto the ridge. The ice sparkled under the fading sunlight, casting long, golden shadows. Lyra took a deep breath, marveling at the beauty and danger of the world. "We made it," Kai said quietly. "The storm tested us, but we adapted." Lyra nodded. "And I learned. I see now that survival is more than skill. It is courage, trust, and perseverance." They found a safe spot near the edge of the ridge to set up a small fire. Lyra sat close, watching the flames dance. "Kai, I have seen wonders and technology beyond imagination, but this is remarkable. The human way of living and surviving is powerful." Kai smiled softly. "It is not perfect, but it works. Humans rely on each other and their own will. That is our strength." Night fell, darker and colder than the storm. Stars appeared in the sky, brighter than Lyra had seen from her home planet. She felt a sense of smallness but also connection. "Your world is alive," she whispered. "Even in ice and cold, there is life, warmth, and courage." Kai nodded. "That is the beauty of survival. Life finds a way." They sat near the fire, talking quietly about their worlds, sharing stories, and learning from each other. Lyra told Kai about her royal upbringing, the rules, and the expectations she faced. Kai shared tales of Earth, of humans who survived impossible conditions and built lives with hope and determination. By the end of the night, Lyra felt a new kind of understanding. She had traveled far, seen many wonders, and faced fear. But here, beside a human on a frozen planet, she had discovered something deeper: strength through courage, connection, and trust. She realized that humans were not only survivors, but also teachers of life in its simplest, most powerful form. Kai looked at the fire, feeling pride and quiet admiration for Lyra. She had faced fear, adapted quickly, and absorbed lessons with humility and curiosity. He knew that their journey together was only beginning, and that the challenges ahead would test them further. But he also knew that they had already built a bond stronger than frost or wind. The fire glowed against the cold night, casting light on two figures from different worlds. One was a human, grounded in courage, hope, and adaptability. The other was an alien princess, learning that strength could come from kindness, trust, and understanding. Together, they shared warmth, knowledge, and the first steps toward a remarkable friendship. In the quiet of the ridge, with snow falling softly around them, both Kai and Lyra understood that the universe was vast, but the connection they shared made it smaller, safer, and full of possibilities. They were no longer just explorers of land and sky, they were explorers of life, spirit, and the courage to face the unknown together. The next morning, the sky was clear, but the air was colder than before. Kai and Lyra packed their small camp carefully. The fire had burned down, leaving only warm ashes. The wind was calm now, but Kai knew that danger could come without warning. He adjusted his instruments and checked the terrain ahead. Today, we will explore deeper into the northern valley, Kai said. There are strange energy readings there. Something unusual is hidden in the ice. I want to investigate. Lyra nodded, excitement and curiosity shining in her eyes. I will follow your lead. I want to see everything this planet holds. They walked carefully, scanning the ground for cracks and weak ice. Lyra noticed the patterns. Kai observed the small marks left by wind, the slight discolorations in the ice that hinted at hidden crevices. Your attention to detail is incredible, she said. It is easy to see why humans survive in difficult places. Kai smiled. We learn from nature. It teaches patience and respect. As they advanced, the energy readings grew stronger. Lyra held a small device from her ship, which pulsed with a soft light when near unusual energy. Kai, the readings are coming from that ridge, she said, pointing to a group of jagged ice formations. Something is buried under the ice. I cannot identify it completely. Kai nodded and approached carefully. We need to be cautious. The ice may be unstable, and there could be creatures nearby. Stay close and watch your steps. Lyra followed, keeping her attention on the ground and her device. She had learned quickly from Kai and moved with care. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the valley. The ice under Lyra's feet trembled. She froze for a moment, heart racing. Kai grabbed her arm and pulled her to a safer spot. Be careful. The ice is thin here. We must move slowly. Lyra nodded, breathing deeply to calm herself. Thank you, Kai. Your guidance is life-saving. They continued, slowly approaching the source of the energy readings. The ice formations grew taller and more jagged. Lyra noticed faint movement in the shadows between the walls of ice. Kai, something is moving, she whispered. Kai crouched, scanning carefully. Yes. Creatures. They are small but dangerous if provoked. We will observe first. Do not make sudden movements. They stayed hidden, watching the creatures scuttle between the ice formations. They were covered in thick fur, with sharp claws designed for the ice. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the light from Lyra's device. These creatures are intelligent, Lyra said softly. They hunt in groups and communicate. They may be protecting something. Kai nodded. Then we must respect their space. We are visitors here. They waited patiently, learning the creatures' patterns. Kai whispered to Lyra, notice how they work together. Even small beings have strategies and cooperation. Humans are similar. Strength comes from unity. Lyra watched closely, realizing the truth in his words. Even creatures so small and alien shared the qualities of teamwork and persistence that humans valued. As they studied, the creatures suddenly moved toward a crack in the ice, digging carefully. Lyra's device pulsed brighter. Something is buried there. The creatures are guarding it. Kai nodded. We must be careful. If we approach too quickly, they may attack. Let's observe a bit longer. Hours passed. The sun moved slowly across the sky, casting long shadows across the icy valley. Lyra felt the cold, but the thrill of discovery kept her alert. Kai, I have never seen creatures like this, she said quietly. They are clever, cautious, and protective. They remind me of humans in many ways. Kai smiled. Exactly. Even in a harsh world, life finds ways to survive and protect. Humans do the same. We endure challenges, protect each other, and adapt to danger. Lyra looked at him, admiration in her eyes. She realized that human strength was not just physical. It was moral, emotional, and determined by their spirit. As they continued observing, one of the creatures noticed a loose piece of ice near their position. It shifted, and a low growl sounded. Kai moved instinctively, placing himself slightly between Lyra and the creatures. Stay calm, he whispered. Do not make sudden movements. We mean no harm. The creatures paused, studying them. After tense moments, they returned to their digging, leaving Kai and Lyra unharmed. Lyra let out a quiet breath. Your presence is reassuring. Humans face danger differently. You do not panic, you adapt. Kai nodded. We learn to face fear with reason. Courage is not the absence of fear but action despite it. You see that here, even in creatures smaller than us. Lyra's thoughts turned to her own world, where rulers and advanced technology often replaced courage with control. She realized that what humans had trust, bravery, and adaptability was rare and powerful. The energy readings grew stronger near the dig site. Lyra and Kai carefully approached a small crevice in the ice. Inside, they found a crystalline structure pulsing with energy. Its surface was smooth and glowing faintly blue. Lyra gasped. This is remarkable. The creatures were protecting it. It is alive, in a sense. Kai studied it carefully. It may be a source of energy for this planet. Or a living organism that thrives in ice. Either way, it shows the ingenuity of life. Adaptation can take many forms. Lyra touched the crystal lightly, feeling warmth and a faint vibration. It is beautiful. And the creatures, they know its importance. Humans respect life, but here, even creatures understand responsibility. They stayed near the crystal, observing it until the light of the sun began to fade. Kai noted its properties with his instruments, careful not to disturb the creatures further. Lyra watched him, amazed at his skill and care. Your people have patience and respect. Even in the coldest, harshest places, you find harmony with life. As night approached, Kai suggested they return to their small shelter. We will continue tomorrow. We need rest, and the creatures need their space. Lyra agreed, feeling a deep respect for both Kai and the creatures. She had learned that strength and survival were not only about power but about understanding, patience, and care. On the way back, they walked quietly, sharing thoughts about what they had seen. Lyra realized that humans could teach even a princess something valuable about life and courage. She felt a growing admiration for Kai, not just for his skill, but for his spirit. By the time they reached their fire, the night had grown cold and dark. Stars sparkled above the icy landscape. Lyra sat close to Kai, the fire warming them both. Kai, I have seen technology and knowledge beyond imagination, but your strength, your way of living, it is extraordinary. Humans survive with heart and spirit, not just tools. Kai smiled gently. That is what makes us human. We face the unknown, protect others, and endure challenges together. Strength is measured not by power, but by courage and kindness. Lyra nodded, understanding more with each passing day. They shared a quiet meal near the fire, talking softly about the day's discoveries. Lyra reflected on the creatures, the crystal, and the lessons she had learned. Humans were not only survivors, they were teachers of life, courage, and connection. As the fire burned lower, Lyra leaned back and looked at Kai. I feel hopeful. The universe is vast, but humans remind me that strength comes from spirit and heart. That is something no machine or rule can teach. Kai nodded. And that is why we endure. Together, we face the unknown, and together, we grow stronger. The cold wind whispered across the ice plains, but inside their circle of warmth, there was safety, understanding, and a bond forming stronger than any storm. Two beings from different worlds had shared the challenges of the day, learned from each other, and discovered that courage, patience, and care could bridge the vast distances of the universe. In the quiet night, Lyra realized that survival was more than skill or technology. It was trust, connection, and the will to face danger with heart. And with Kai, she felt that she could learn everything about courage, humanity, and the power of friendship. The morning came with a pale light over the icy plains. The wind was calm, but Kai knew that the planet's weather could change quickly. He packed their supplies and checked the instruments for any unusual activity. Lyra watched him carefully, noting how methodical and careful he was. She had learned much from him, but each day revealed new lessons about patience, observation, and resilience. Today, we will explore the Eastern Plateau, Kai said. There are formations there that may reveal more about the planet's life. We need to stay alert. The terrain is unpredictable, and there may be more creatures protecting important areas. Lyra nodded, feeling excitement mixed with caution. I am ready, she said. Every moment here teaches me something new about humans and survival. They moved across the frozen land, the crunch of ice beneath their feet echoing in the silence. Lyra followed Kai closely, learning to recognize subtle signs of danger: a small crack in the ice, a faint shift in the snow, a sudden change in wind direction. Each observation built her confidence. Kai paused near a cluster of jagged ice formations. The readings here are stronger, he said. We should examine carefully, but remember, respect life. The creatures we saw yesterday guard important things. We do not disturb them unnecessarily. Lyra's eyes widened. On my planet, we often take what we want. Here, I see humans honor balance and patience. It is remarkable. As they approached, movement caught their attention. Small, furry creatures from the previous day emerged from hidden crevices. They observed Kai and Lyra cautiously, ears twitching and eyes glowing faintly. Lyra held her device close, watching their patterns. They are intelligent, she whispered. They cooperate and protect their territory. Humans are similar in their cooperation and respect for each other. Kai smiled. We learn from the world around us. Even small creatures can teach us patience, teamwork, and caution. That is what humans do. They adapt and grow stronger with experience. The creatures moved aside slightly, allowing Kai and Lyra to approach a small crevice in the ice. Lyra's device pulsed softly, indicating the presence of energy below. Kai carefully tested the ice with a long tool. It is stable, but we must move slowly. Together, they descended into a narrow tunnel leading to a chamber beneath the ice. Inside, the chamber opened into a hollow space, filled with crystalline structures similar to the one they had discovered before. The crystals glowed faintly, casting soft light across the walls. Lyra stepped closer, awe on her face. "It is alive," she said softly. "And the creatures, they protect it? There is a connection between life here and intelligence. It is beautiful." Kai examined the crystals with his instruments, taking careful notes without disturbing them. "This planet's life is different from ours, but it has adapted perfectly. Even the creatures understand its importance. Humans have a similar instinct to protect what matters, sometimes without even realizing it." Suddenly, a low rumble shook the chamber. Lyra stepped back, alarmed. Kai remained calm, scanning the walls. "The ice is shifting. We must be careful. The storm may have weakened the structure above." The rumble grew louder, and small pieces of ice began to fall from the ceiling. Kai quickly guided Lyra to a safer corner, using his body as a shield. "Stay close and follow my lead. We move slowly and watch every step." Lyra followed, her trust in Kai growing with each careful movement. The ice above trembled, but Kai's experience and quick thinking allowed them to navigate through the unstable chamber safely. After the shaking subsided, they paused near the glowing crystals. Lyra looked at Kai with admiration. "You remain calm in danger. Humans are remarkable in their courage and reasoning." Kai shook his head. "It is not perfection. It is preparation, observation, and trust. Courage is measured by action despite fear. That is what humans do." As they explored the chamber, Lyra noticed markings on the ice walls. "These are signs of previous visitors," she said. "Perhaps creatures or even beings like us. They left evidence of careful study and respect." Kai nodded. "Life leaves traces, lessons. Humans learn from observation and experience, just like we see here." They spent hours documenting the crystals and the markings, careful not to disturb the creatures. Lyra began to understand that strength was not always in fighting or taking, it was in observation, patience, and respect for others. Kai's guidance helped her see that humans excel not only in survival but in understanding and cooperation. By the time they returned to the surface, the sun was low, casting long shadows across the icy plains. Lyra felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had learned not only about the planet but about the strength of humans. "Kai, I understand now," she said softly. "Humans survive because of courage, trust, and the will to protect what matters. That is more powerful than any technology." Kai nodded, smiling. "Yes. Humans endure, adapt, and grow stronger together. That is why we survive in the harshest conditions." Lyra looked at him thoughtfully, realizing that this understanding could change the way she viewed her own world. The lessons of courage, patience, and empathy were universal. As they set up their small camp near the fire, Lyra asked, "Kai, have you always been like this? Calm, careful, and willing to teach?" Kai shook his head. "I have learned through experience. Life teaches humans patience, observation, and courage. We grow stronger with every challenge we face." Lyra smiled. "I want to learn more. Not just about survival, but about humans and how they see the universe. Your people, they are extraordinary in ways I never imagined." Kai felt pride, not for himself, but for what humans could accomplish through courage and cooperation. Night fell, and the icy wind blew softly across the plains. They sat near the fire, talking quietly about the crystals, the creatures, and the lessons of the day. Lyra realized that the simplest actions, care, patience, and observation were often the most powerful. Humans had a way of turning danger into learning, fear into courage, and challenges into growth. Kai glanced at Lyra. Tomorrow, we may encounter new obstacles. But we will face them together. Humans survive by adapting, learning, and supporting each other. That is our strength. Lyra nodded, feeling inspired. I am beginning to see it. Strength is not just power. It is spirit, heart, and courage. The fire burned low, but its warmth held them against the cold night. Two beings from different worlds shared knowledge, trust, and understanding. Lyra felt a growing connection, not just to Kai, but to humanity itself. She had come to this frozen planet thinking she would face fear and isolation. Instead, she had found guidance, courage, and friendship. As Lyra closed her eyes near the fire, she reflected on the lessons she had learned. Humans were not just survivors, they were teachers of resilience, patience, and heart. She had seen strength in action, courage in calmness, and wisdom in observation. The universe was vast, but humans had a way of thriving that was extraordinary. Kai looked at the stars above, thinking of the journey ahead. The crystals, the creatures, and the harsh environment had tested them both. But the bond they shared had grown stronger. Together, they had learned that life was more than survival, it was connection, trust, and the courage to face the unknown. The fire crackled softly, casting light on the icy plains. Lyra felt hope, admiration, and determination. She knew that she had much to learn, but with Kai, she could understand not only this planet but the extraordinary strength of humans. And in that understanding, she felt a spark of inspiration that would guide her through whatever challenges awaited. The morning was still and quiet, the frozen plains stretching endlessly under a soft, pale sky. Kai and Lyra packed their small camp with practiced care. The events of the past days had deepened their trust. Each had learned from the other Kai about the wonders of Lyra's world, Lyra about human courage, patience, and resilience. Yet today, Lyra seemed more thoughtful than usual. Kai noticed her hesitation. "Is something wrong?" he asked gently as he gathered their instruments. Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the pale light of the morning. "I received a signal from my planet," she said softly. "They are calling me back. My duty as a princess. I cannot ignore it forever." Kai nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her words. "I know it must be difficult. You have responsibilities, and your people need you. But remember, you are not alone here. You have choices." Lyra sighed, looking down at the ice. "I never imagined I would feel this connection to a human, to your way of life. It has taught me courage, patience, and trust. And yet, duty calls me back to a world of rules and expectations." They walked together in silence, the wind lightly brushing against their suits. The distant mountains cast long shadows across the icy terrain. Lyra's device pulsed softly, confirming the signal from her home planet. "They demand I return immediately," she said. "But I do not want to leave. Not yet." Kai studied her, feeling a quiet admiration for her honesty and thoughtfulness. "Then the choice is yours," he said. "Do what your heart and your judgment tell you. Humans respect the decision of others, even when it is difficult." Lyra glanced at him. "Your people, they value trust and freedom. That is different from my world. There, duty often outweighs choice. Here, I have learned that strength comes from making your own decisions and facing the consequences with courage." Kai nodded. "Exactly. Courage is not just in action. It is in choosing what is right, even when it is hard. They climbed a small ridge, where the ice formed intricate patterns in the sunlight. Lyra paused, gazing at the crystals and formations they had discovered. "Everything here has taught me something," she said. "The creatures, the ice, the crystals, and you. I have learned that humans survive not only through skill, but through heart and spirit. That is extraordinary." Kai smiled. "Humans endure because we care, adapt, and act together. Strength comes from connection, not just physical ability." As they reached the top of the ridge, a small gust of wind revealed a hidden crevice. Kai carefully examined it. "This area shows recent activity," he said. "Something has moved here. Perhaps creatures or natural shifts. We must proceed with caution." Lyra followed, noticing how Kai remained calm and focused. Even in the unknown, he assessed risks and adapted. She admired this human ability to face uncertainty with careful reasoning. The energy readings from her device grew stronger near the crevice. Lyra stepped closer, hesitating. "Kai, there is something here. It feels alive and intelligent." Kai studied the area, nodding. "We approach carefully, as we have before. Observe, learn, and respect. That is the human way of surviving challenges." They discovered a new crystal formation, larger and more intricate than the others. Its glow pulsed softly, lighting the crevice with a gentle blue hue. Lyra reached out, feeling its warmth and subtle vibration. "It is alive," she whispered. "And it calls for protection. The creatures and this world depend on it." Kai watched her, realizing that she understood what humans valued: respect, courage, and connection with life. Suddenly, her device emitted a stronger signal from her home planet. Lyra's eyes widened. "Kai, they are insisting. They will send ships if I do not return. I must decide, now." Kai placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. "Listen to your heart. Duty is important, but understanding, courage, and choice define you. You have learned about humanity here. That knowledge can guide you in making the right decision." Lyra closed her eyes, thinking about the past days. She remembered the lessons from the creatures, the crystals, and from Kai himself. Humans survived because they acted with courage, patience, and respect. They faced fear without panic and made decisions with thought and care. She realized that her people, despite their technology and rules, often lacked this understanding. After a long pause, she opened her eyes. "Kai, I have decided. I will stay here, for now. I want to learn more about humans, not just their survival, but their spirit, their heart, and their courage. Duty is important, but understanding is stronger." Kai nodded, a quiet pride filling him. "You have made a wise choice. Humans endure, adapt, and grow stronger through connection. You will see this firsthand." They sat near the edge of the ridge, watching the sun dip low, casting soft light across the icy plains. Lyra reflected on her decision. She had the opportunity to return to her world of rules and expectations, but she chose curiosity, learning, and trust. It was a choice that demonstrated the very qualities Kai had shown her: courage, patience, and heart. Kai stirred the fire, letting the flames dance against the cold air. "Tomorrow, we explore the Western Glacier. There are formations and life there that will teach us more. Are you ready?" Lyra nodded, her eyes glowing with determination. "I am ready. I want to continue learning, observing, and understanding. Humans have a way of teaching without words, and I want to experience it fully." As night fell, the stars filled the sky. The frozen plains glimmered softly under their light. Lyra sat close to Kai, feeling warmth not only from the fire, but from the trust and bond they shared. Kai, I see now that survival is not just about strength or technology. It is about courage, heart, and the choices we make. Humans teach this simply by living it every day. Kai smiled gently. Exactly. Courage is measured by actions, patience, and the willingness to protect and connect. That is why humans endure in the harshest conditions. And that is why you will find strength here, as you learn and grow. The wind whispered across the ice plains, but the warmth of the fire and the bond between them held strong. Lyra realized that she had found not only a guide, but a teacher of life, courage, and spirit. Her world had rules, technology, and power, but here, she had discovered something far greater: the extraordinary strength of humans. Kai watched the fire burn low, thinking of the journey ahead. They had faced storms, strange creatures, and dangerous terrain. But Lyra's choice to stay, to learn, and to trust showed the power of connection and courage. He knew that the days ahead would bring new challenges, but also new opportunities for growth, discovery, and understanding. As Lyra closed her eyes, she reflected on the lessons she had learned. Strength was not just survival. It was patience, courage, respect, and heart. And with Kai, she had experienced all of these firsthand. She had chosen to stay, not out of fear, but out of understanding, curiosity, and admiration for the human spirit. The fire crackled softly, casting a warm glow on the icy landscape. Two beings from different worlds shared knowledge, trust, and connection. Lyra had chosen to learn from humanity, to understand courage and heart in their purest forms. And in that moment, the frozen planet seemed less lonely, more alive, and full of endless possibilities. Kai and Lyra sat together, looking at the stars above. They had faced fear, challenges, and uncertainty. Yet their bond had grown stronger. The choice to stay, the trust, and the courage to embrace the unknown had brought them closer and revealed the remarkable strength of humans to inspire even the most advanced beings. The morning was calm, with a soft light spreading across the frozen plains. Kai and Lyra prepared for another day of exploration. Lyra felt a quiet excitement. She had decided to stay, to learn from humans, and to experience life in ways her world had never allowed. Today, she felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. Kai packed their instruments carefully, checking each tool and scanning the surroundings. "We will explore the Western Glacier today," he said. "There are formations there that may hold secrets about the planet's life and history. We must stay alert, as the terrain is unpredictable." Lyra nodded. "I am ready. I want to learn as much as I can." They moved across the icy plains, their steps careful and deliberate. Lyra noticed the small details. Kai observed the patterns in the snow, the way wind shifted the ice, the faint sounds of creatures hidden nearby. She followed closely, her confidence growing with each step. She had learned much from him already, but every moment brought new lessons about patience, observation, and courage. As they approached the Western Glacier, Lyra's device pulsed softly, signaling unusual energy. "Kai, the readings are strong here," she said. "Something is active beneath the ice." Kai studied the area carefully. "Then we approach slowly. Observe and respect. That is the way we learn and survive." They climbed a narrow path up the glacier, the ice slippery and sharp beneath their boots. Lyra felt a thrill of excitement mixed with caution. She had learned to trust Kai's guidance completely, knowing he would keep her safe while teaching her the skills needed to navigate this harsh world. At the top of the glacier, they discovered a hidden cavern. Its entrance was narrow, almost invisible beneath the ice. Inside, soft blue light glowed, reflecting off crystalline formations that pulsed gently. Lyra's eyes widened. "It is beautiful," she whispered. "And alive. The energy here, it feels purposeful." Kai approached the largest crystal carefully, examining it with his instruments. "This formation is ancient. It has survived storms, cold, and time. It is a perfect example of adaptation and resilience. Life here finds a way to endure." Lyra touched the crystal gently. "The creatures protect it, just as humans protect what they value. Courage, care, and connection are universal strengths." They spent hours observing the crystals and the small creatures that moved quietly around the cavern. Lyra noticed the creatures' cooperation, their careful attention to the crystal, and the way they communicated silently. "Kai, I see now that intelligence and strength are not always physical. They come from spirit, patience, and understanding." Kai smiled. "Exactly. Humans survive and thrive not because of power alone, but because of heart, courage, and the ability to adapt. We learn from our environment, each other, and even from smaller, simpler beings." As the day passed, Lyra felt a deep connection to the planet and to Kai. She realized that her journey was more than survival or exploration. It was about understanding the essence of life, courage, and humanity. She had seen how humans faced danger without panic, adapted with intelligence, and acted with compassion and trust. Suddenly, a faint tremor shook the cavern. Small pieces of ice fell from the ceiling. Kai moved quickly, guiding Lyra to a safe spot. "Stay calm. Observe, and act carefully," he instructed. Lyra followed, trusting his knowledge and experience. The tremor subsided, leaving only the soft hum of the crystals. "You remained calm during the tremor," Lyra said quietly. "Humans do not panic easily. Courage is part of your nature." Kai nodded. "It is learned, but it becomes instinct. Courage is not absence of fear. It is action despite fear." Lyra reflected on her own world, realizing that rules and technology could not replace the strength of heart and spirit she had learned here. As evening approached, they returned to their small fire outside the glacier. The wind was cold, but the warmth of the fire and their bond made the night comfortable. Lyra sat close, watching the flames dance. "Kai, I understand now that humanity is extraordinary," she said. "Not because of machines or power, but because of courage, patience, and connection. Humans teach by living, and I am learning more than I imagined possible." Kai smiled softly. "And you, Lyra, have embraced that understanding. You chose to stay, to learn, and to trust. That is courage. That is the strength of heart that humans value most." Lyra looked up at the stars above the frozen plains. "I feel a new sense of belonging," she said. "Not just to this planet, but to the lessons I am learning from humans. I want to carry this knowledge back to my world someday. Humanity's spirit is remarkable, and I want to understand it fully before I return." Kai nodded. "We have faced storms, strange creatures, and dangerous terrain. Each challenge taught us patience, courage, and trust. That is what humans endure every day. And now, you are part of that journey, learning what makes us strong." The night grew darker, but the fire glowed warmly. Lyra felt peace and determination. She had chosen curiosity, understanding, and trust over fear and duty. The bond between her and Kai had grown stronger than frost, wind, or distance. She had discovered that courage was not only surviving, but learning, respecting, and connecting. The next morning, Kai suggested they explore the southern ridge, a place untouched and full of potential discoveries. Lyra agreed eagerly. I want to see more. I want to continue learning how humans survive and thrive. There is wisdom here that my world cannot teach me. As they moved across the icy plains, Lyra realized that her journey was not only about exploration, but about transformation. She had come as an alien princess, cautious and curious. Now, she was a student of humanity, learning lessons of courage, heart, and adaptability that no technology could provide. At the ridge, they discovered ancient formations of ice and crystal, some shaped by wind, others by hidden life forms. Lyra observed patterns and interactions between creatures, learning more about cooperation, intelligence, and resilience. Kai, even the smallest life forms show strength, she said. Humans are the same. Strength is not always in size or power, but in heart and spirit. Kai nodded. Humans endure because we face fear, adapt, and protect what matters. Courage and connection are more valuable than strength alone. And you, Lyra, have shown the willingness to embrace that understanding. As the sun set, painting the ice in gold and violet, they returned to their camp. Lyra sat by the fire, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. She had learned about survival, courage, and human spirit. But she had also learned about herself, about choice, responsibility, and the power of connection. Kai watched the flames, reflecting on the days they had spent together. The alien princess had grown through experience, patience, and trust. She had faced fear, adapted, and chosen to stay and learn. He knew that she now understood the essence of humanity not through technology or rules, but through courage, heart, and connection. Lyra looked at Kai. I am grateful, she said, for your guidance, your patience, and the lessons you have taught me. Humans survive because they care, adapt, and act with courage. That is something I will carry with me, wherever I go. Kai smiled. And humans are inspired by those who seek understanding. You have shown courage by choosing to learn, trust, and face the unknown. That is the greatest strength of all. The wind whispered across the icy plains, but the fire and their bond held strong. Lyra felt hope, admiration, and determination. She had learned the strength of humans, and in doing so, had discovered her own courage, heart, and spirit. As the stars sparkled above, Kai and Lyra sat together, knowing that the journey had changed them both. The frozen planet was no longer just a place of survival, it was a school of courage, trust, and connection. And the lessons they had learned would remain forever, guiding them through any challenge the universe might present. In that quiet night, two beings from different worlds had discovered the extraordinary strength of humanity. Lyra had embraced it, Kai had shared it, and together they had built a bond stronger than ice or wind, a bond of trust, courage, and hope for the future. The fire burned low, but its warmth lingered. Lyra understood that the universe was vast, but strength, courage, and heart could bridge worlds. Humanity's lessons were universal, and she was now part of that story, a student, a friend, and a witness to the extraordinary power of humans to endure, adapt, and inspire.